Yes, Ron Bishop's my name, from Timaru, New Zealand. I'm about to read you a statement which I'm making public on the internet worldwide. I am an advocate for changes to the New Zealand employment law. And these are my comments. The purpose of this statement is not to falsely accuse anyone of any crime, but to create a public discussion about the New Zealand employment law and to invite any individuals or organisations to come forward and tell their side of the story. As you read our claims for compensation, you'll be able to gauge what happened and why. It must be noted that Miss Bennett, in her bid for compensation, is alleged to have spent over $40,000 on lawyers' fees for a cash return of just over $30,000, which I had to pay. Surely this is not justice. After listening to our story, it is my hope that someone in New Zealand will realise that it is not in the public interest to let the Employment Relations Act continue in its present form, because it is hurting employees as well as many small business owners. Employment Case Law Number 1. CIV 2010-07622 is on the internet for anyone in the world to see. Christine Bennett of Timaru. A personal grievance claim against Ron and Margaret Bishop, trading as Digital Communications. On this video, we are claiming from Miss Bennett the following comments for compensation. Number 1, alleged dishonesty, including deception, fraud and theft. Number 2, alleged verbal abuse and physical aggression. Number 3, alleged slander, breaching of my personal privacy and defaming my character. Son of Christine Bennett is Scott Bennett. We're seeking compensation from him for purchasing stationery items from Warehouse Stationery in our business name without my permission. Warehouse Stationery. We're seeking compensation from Warehouse Stationery for permitting Scott Bennett to charge goods in our business name without my permission. Harry Travail, partner of Christine Bennett. We're seeking compensation from Mr. Travail for holding our business office and post office keys as ransom for Christine's wages. National Bank. Compensation from the National Bank for permitting Miss Bennett to open an account in our name without our signature. Compensation for permitting Miss Bennett to withdraw money from our trust account and to buy foreign exchange without our signature. For accepting cash cheques signed by Miss Bennett without our signature. Page 2. Fidelity Life Insurance Company Limited. We are seeking compensation from Fidelity Life for giving our staff member Miss Bennett a life insurance agency agreement in her own personal name without our permission. We're also seeking compensation for loading Fidelity Life Insurance software onto our computer without my permission. Permitting Miss Bennett to sell Fidelity Life Insurance policies in our office in our time while being paid wages by us. Number 4, for allowing Miss Bennett to launder her personal life insurance commissions through our bank accounts without our permission. Number 5, not deducting income tax from Miss Bennett's insurance commissions. Inland Revenue Department. Compensation from the IRD for failing to investigate our written complaint that Miss Bennett had used our bank account to avoid income tax. Number 2, for permitting Miss Bennett to deduct withholding tax, that being that of a self-employed person. New Zealand Police. Compensation for failing in their duty to investigate our complaint of alleged employment crimes made in our office by Miss Bennett. Failing to take a statement from Miss Bennett. Failing to write and file a report about our complaint. And number 4, not replying to my letter of our complaints sent to the Police Commissioner and the Minister of Police. Department of Labour. Compensation for permitting Miss Bennett and her lawyer to leave a meeting without discussing our offer of settlement. Number 2, failed to keep a record of the minutes of the mediation meeting. Employment Relations Authority. Helen Doyle, member of Employment Relations Authority. We're seeking compensation from the ERA for rejecting our counterclaim in its entirety without any discussion. For for making false statements that Miss Bennett was not dishonest when no police inquiry had ever taken place. Number 3, dated her determination near Christmas Day, 4 months after the hearing. Gave us 28 days to challenge her determination in the knowledge that no lawyers would be on duty over the Christmas holiday period. Page number 3. Jeff Goldstein, former sole practicing barrister from Christchurch. We're seeking compensation from Mr. Goldstein for deception when he posed as a solicitor, but he had no trust account. He failed to advise me that as a barrister he was not permitted to take instructions from us. Mr. Goldstein stated to the New Zealand Law Society that a now partner, Shauna McClelland, was our lawyer, and she referred me to him, a statement which is not true. Mr. Goldstein failed to complete the job he started with us, causing us much stress and anxiety. Raymond Sullivan McGlashan, now trading as RSM Law. People involved in our case are John McGlashan, the director of the company, Anne-Marie McRae, a solicitor, Marique van der Berg, a solicitor, Jared Lovely, a senior solicitor, and Greg O'Brien, a practice manager. We are seeking compensation from RSM Law for filing unsigned and undated charging orders against our property, failing to serve documents to us by personal service, accepting instructions from their client and announcing in the public courtroom an untrue statement about my mental state of health in the knowledge that it would breach my privacy and defame my character, for informing my wife that if I did not pay them the judgment amount, then they had the authority to sell our family home, which was untrue because there were no such documents ever filed. And number 5, causing us unwarranted stress and anxiety. Bradley West Lawyers, Timaru. Number 1, for providing legal advice to us that if we did not pay the ERA determination amount as charged, we would be forced to go bankrupt. Number 2, before giving the same advice, failing to disclose to me that Miss Bennett was a client of their law firm, Bradley & West. Employment Court Judge Tony Couch from Christchurch. We're seeking compensation from Mr. Couch and the Employment Court for not accepting evidence to be presented in court that was crucial to the outcome of the case. Number 2, for permitting the claimant and her lawyer to make false statements in court in the knowledge that it was a breach of my personal privacy and would defame my character. Number 3, for taking 15 months to decide his judgment. Number 4, claiming Miss Bennett's lawyers had overcharged her by $10,000 and then passing the overcharged amounts on to us. Number 5, making judgment that Miss Bennett was not dishonest when no police inquiry had ever taken place. Page number 4. Fairfax Media owner of Timaru Herald. Compensation for reporting to the Timaru Herald that I was a former mayoral candidate who has bipolar disorder, destroying my credibility and defaming my character. South Canterbury Health Board. Compensation for permitting a staff member from the mental health team to phone my wife and threaten her that if we did not pay Miss Bennett's lawyer, her family home would be sold. Our family home would be sold. Court of Appeal. Compensation for failing to reply to a letter I wrote to them immediately after judgment was made. Failing to recognise that our request for waiver of fees was in the interest of the public. Number 3, offering us the right to appeal on the grounds that if we paid the filing fees, giving us more financial burden and false hope. The New Zealand Government, what can I say? Compensation for several members of Parliament, including the Prime Minister, not replying to our correspondence. Number 2, not recognising the flaws in the Employment Relations Act and not doing anything about it. Final comments. The purpose of this statement is not to falsely accuse anyone of any crime, but to create a public discussion and to invite any of the individuals or organisations mentioned to come forward and tell their side of the story. There is provision for comments on this post. If anyone has a problem with what I have said, then they are more than welcome to come and talk to me about it. I'm a pretty easy man to get along with, but there's one thing I don't tolerate, and that is dishonesty. Thank you for listening.